The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops is gathering this week for its fall assembly in Baltimore. The church leaders have several items on their agenda. They include discussions on how to implement suggestions from the recently concluded Synod on Synodality, plus a follow-up to a 2005 document on lay ministry, and even discussions on some canonization causes. All right, for more, we turn now to Dr. Matthew Bunson, Vice President and Editorial Director for EWTN News. Matthew, great to have you in the studio.
Good to be with you, as always.
So, of course, you're going to Baltimore.
Yes.
Curious about this. Do you think the bishops are going to talk about the recent presidential election and President-elect Donald Trump?
Well, a week ago, when we didn't know who was going to be the next president, I think the bishops are looking at two very different universes of how they're going to approach two different governments. The prospect of Kamala Harris being elected versus Donald Trump. We have decisive clarity. So the bishops, I think, are going to be looking at the next 4 years. We saw in 2016 that the bishops moved pretty quickly to welcome the president, but at the same time, we're very clear on issues like immigration, that there is a line that they wanted to draw. In 2020, we had a similar thing, a similar statement regarding Joe Biden, who, as a second Catholic president, also held positions that were diametrically opposed to church teaching. So I suspect that the bishops are going to be moving cautiously to promote unity with this new government, but there are going to be areas of agreement. But then there are going to be some pretty strong areas of disagreement. The one, of course, that comes most to mind is immigration.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that. A lot of things on the agenda, but what do you think will take precedence?
Yeah, well, first, one of the other big topics that the bishops are going to be approaching is the Synod on Synodality that just concluded. We had a very large delegation of American bishops that were there, everyone from Cardinal Blaise Cupich of Chicago to the president of the conference, Archbishop Broglio. So that, I think, is going to be overhanging some of at least the closed-door discussions. They're going to be getting a report on the Synod. How they go about implementing Pope Francis's vision for the Synod, I think, is a major topic for them, not just this year, but going forward. Then we have a number of elections of committee chairs, including one on immigration. Again, that'll be setting the tone for the conference, especially in how it deals with President-elect Trump. We have as well some discussion about human dignity, the document Dignitas Infinita, again reflecting on human dignity, which raises the specter of transgender issues, an area I think where we will have much common ground between the USCCB and this administration.
Yeah, and to jump off of that, we had Bishop Thomas Daly from out in Washington on recently on the show, and he was calling on his brother bishops to address the 150 or so Catholic hospitals that are actually participating in so-called gender-affirming care.
That's right.
How is that going to come up, do you think?
Well, I know Bishop Daly would like the bishops to speak on it. As far as I'm aware, at this point, it's not officially on the agenda, but I can guarantee that this is going to be in the mix of the discussions of the bishops and looking forward to this new administration. We know that the Trump administration is probably going to be doing what it can on the federal side to limit, restrict, even prohibit transgender surgeries, especially for minors. So there'll be that common ground. I think Bishop Daly may not necessarily have it attached to the agenda, but I would be very surprised if at some point the bishops don't weigh in on this. This is a very contentious issue, especially for Catholic identity. But again, we'll have to see how this plays out on the broader political side as this new administration settles in.
Matthew, thank you so much. Looking forward to your reporting.
Great to be here.